REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj podcast with Dr. Raj Dasgupta, a show all about educating patients, students, and aspiring doctors about better patient care. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician and associate professor at the University of Southern California. He was a co-host of the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj podcast. And for those who don't know, what is this a podcast of? It's a podcast of happiness and wellness and telling awesome stories that build you up. But it's all about education, and it's all about things that you just want to know a little bit more about. So I had this idea that I wanted to do a kind of like a guilty pleasures month. And when I'm thinking about some guilty pleasures, what jumps to mind? Well, what about coffee? You don't have to tell me if you like it or not, but I thought we all could use a little education on coffee, because tell me this, how many times have you been in line at a Starbucks and the person in front of you orders some coffee concoction with all these ingredients, and you're like, wow, this is more complicated than one of my medications I write for my patient, you know? So I thought it'd be good if we get some coffee 101. So I'm going directly to the source this time. I got an amazing coffee dude to actually teach us some things over here. So I'm going to talk about Steve Fruci. And here's his bio. An expert in all things espresso, Steven Fruci is a business school graduate, an accomplished musician, and a co-host of the Been There, Done That coffee podcast based in Toronto, Canada. With over 20 years of professional experience in the espresso coffee industry, Steven is a factory certified espresso machine technician and second-generation coffee distributor. Steven's family business, Northwest Kitchenware, has been importing and distributing Italian espresso machines for over 40 years. As retailers of espresso makers for the home, as well as commercial espresso machines for cafes and restaurants, the family has also developed their own premium blend espresso coffee to complement their quality espresso products. I think this man knows what he's talking about. With that being said, Steven, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Dr. Raj. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, I got to tell you, when I told some of the listeners that you're coming on and answering coffee questions, my email kind of just blew up. I can't believe how many questions we have for you.
All right. I'll try to answer whatever I can as best as I can.
So let's start off with some basics. I just want to know, it sounds like your family's been doing this for quite a while. How did your family get into the coffee business?
My parents immigrated from Italy to Canada late 60s. My father found himself in the kitchenware business by the mid 70s. Early 1980s, he opened up his first retail store. And aside from kitchenware, started focusing on bringing in espresso machines directly from Italy. Fast forward 40 years later, still going strong, now focusing on an online approach in addition to the retail store. We've been selling espresso machines for over 4 decades.
Let's go to some what I call the 101 questions. So let's talk about the coffee bean, down to the basics. What are my choices of coffee beans? How can you keep it simple for us?
To simplify, there's usually two major categories everybody kind of hears about or is actually drinking on the market. That would be your Arabicas versus your Robusta coffees. Both can be either combined. Arabica coffee can be enjoyed on its own as a single origin beverage. Very distinct. So, absolutely night and day contrast as to what palate they'll bring, but both phenomenal choices, really.
So, what is the more popular of the two if you got to pick one?
Typically, I would say the Arabicas, although they're a little bit more difficult to cultivate and to come by, they tend to be the most popular, high acidity, very sweet compared to the Robusta coffee. So it tends to be more of a go-to, especially for your morning coffee, that sort of thing. I would probably say that Arabica is usually the main choice. Everyone always hears about 100% Arabica coffee, and that's usually where the palate will take it.
All right. Well, let me kind of add on to this an origin. So, does it matter where the coffee is from? Talking about the country, the soil, do those really play a huge role in getting some good tasting coffee?
Absolutely. Region and climate is everything to how the bean is grown, how it's cultivated, how it's harvested. A lot of it will vary. So, your Arabica coffees, for example, a lot of those are grown at higher altitudes, more mountainous regions. They receive more natural shade from the trees in the mountains and whatnot.
I know your family is from Italy. In the whole scheme of like where the great coffees come from, is Italy in the top five, the top 10 of like coffee countries?
That's actually a great question. It's also a misconception. Coffee is not grown in Italy at all.
Okay, I didn't know that.
The coffee is brought into Italy.
Yep.
There are hundreds of master roasters. It is the home of espresso and the process of brewing coffee in an espresso format. So there's definitely a lot of culture and history in Italy as far as espresso coffee, pretty much ingrained in society there. But yeah, coffee actually does not grow in Italy, but it does get roasted, packaged, and distributed worldwide from Italy.
That's a good like Trivial Pursuit question right there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, you hear espresso and you automatically assume, oh, Italy and whatnot, or European countries in general, but the very few actually grow the coffee themselves.
This kind of parlays into a good question. You know what I mean? Talking about buying the coffee itself. For my listeners, okay, let's say they want to start dabbling in making coffee at home or getting a little more into it. Where should they buy their coffee if they want to get a little snobby? Should they go to a supermarket? Should they just go online? Or can you give me some guidance?
As far as trying new coffees and just kind of introducing your palate to coffee in general, I would start with the local coffee shop, the local cafe. A lot of local coffee shops, they take a lot of great pride in the quality of coffee that they'll sell and serve. And a lot of times they'll go out of their way to source the right coffee that they feel would complement the consumer. A lot of those coffee shops will actually sell the beans themselves. So that's always a great place to try. Start with your neighborhood coffee shop and see what they're serving and see what they've got on the shelf. And that's always a great place to start as far as experimenting goes. I think if you go to the grocery store, you could kind of get lost. I'm not sure how it is in the US. I know here in Canada, there's a whole aisle devoted to coffee, whether it's ground coffee or the whole coffee beans and whatnot. You really don't know where it starts and stops and what to choose from. At the end of the day, you want to start off slowly because just like, say, alcohol, there are hundreds, if not thousands of beans and blends to try.
Let's say you go to the local supermarket. There's a little stereotype that those coffee beans or coffee that you're selling there has been there forever. Is it kind of like you're going to lose some freshness when you go to the supermarket compared to your local coffee store? Is that kind of true or not really?
It is in the sense that most coffee that's been produced and distributed to the grocery stores now, that's done on a mass scale. So they're not going to be roasting and packaging and distributing as frequent as they would in a smaller batch or a smaller coffee shop. So yeah, you would end up finding stuff in the grocery store that could have anywhere from a 1 to 2 year shelf life.
Yeah.
Obviously not going to be the freshest. Exactly. It really depends on what kind of a coffee connoisseur you are, if that even matters in a sense. If you're not that particular, it's really not that big of a deal. If you're budget conscious, also not that big of a deal as well. Usually palate will dictate your selection and your taste from there. Don't be surprised too. The grocery stores do bring in a lot of great blends as well. And some of them actually have roasting on site, which I've seen a little more frequently around here too.
Oh,
So some
cool.
of the local grocery stores are actually roasting their own coffee. Can't get fresher than freshly roasted, really. So I wouldn't rule out the grocery store just yet. It can definitely blow your mind because there's just too many to choose from at that point.
Makes sense.
So maybe not the first place I would start, but definitely once you've found the coffee you like, you're most likely to find it at the grocery store for the price you're looking for, which isn't a bad thing.
Now, back to Coffee 101. So I noticed this on some of the labeling. I didn't understand this. Maybe you could explain it to me. What do you mean by a natural process versus a wash process when we talk about preparing the coffee that someone's going to buy? Does that make a difference in taste or to the
Um,
consumer?
not really to the consumer. Really, what that is the process before it's even made it to the roasting process. So it's once the bean has been harvested and separated to the actual pea itself that's going to be roasted. As they're harvesting that coffee, they do want to wash it and make sure that it's been, thoroughly removed from any pesticides, anything that could have possibly contaminated it. Usually, the natural process would just refer to not using any chemical solutions in order to achieve that. So it doesn't guarantee 100% of those sedatives or pesticides are removed, but it does guarantee that it's done in the most natural process possible. They also do that with decaffeination as well, what's called a Swiss water process. So they're able to remove a good portion of the caffeine by using this natural process as well.
Yeah. So, with that, I think we got some basics, but let's do some storage tips. So some of my listeners do like coffee and they want to know how to store it to get the most out of it. So when we talk about fresh coffee, if you get something that's vacuum packed, is that good enough? Is that the standard keeping the coffee fresh? If it's vacuum packed, is that you want to read on your label?
If you're buying coffee that's already been vacuum packed,
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't suggest it. The reason I say that is because when coffee is roasted, it begins to release gases after the roasting process. So carbon dioxide is actually being released from the bean as part of its fermentation. If you take coffee that's been freshly roasted and you seal it in a package without any way for the air to escape, it's basically going to be sitting in those gases. I'll find that if you do that, it'll actually create, it'll definitely deteriorate some of the flavor of the coffee, but it'll bring out a lot of the acidity in it.
Oh.
What you want to look for when you're buying coffee that's sealed in a package, that it has what's called a one-way valve or a degassing valve. That way the air can escape from the package, but not allow air to re-enter into the package. So it'll remove the gases, but it won't compromise the flavor or the taste. Now, if you've already bought the coffee and it's in the one-way valve packaging and you've opened it up and you're starting to use it, at that point, you can repackage it if you wanted to vacuum pack it or put it in say a Tupperware or something that will seal it correctly. Because at that point, the process has already been complete. Usually about 10 to 14 days, those gases will have already been removed from the coffee. It will kind of take away some of the flavor at that point. It won't be that fresh impact that you'd be looking for, but it will preserve it. That way you'll get a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months out of it, depending on how much you consume and how much you purchase at a time.
So let me get this straight. So if I go to a supermarket, I love talking about these supermarkets. If you get a nicer coffee, there should be a one-way valve on it, like on the packaging.
On the package itself. So
That's so cool. I didn't even know that, Steve. And that is awesome.
I know this is audio.
Yeah.
However, I just want to point out to you here, if you can see on this package right here, there's a circle valve. Okay, and that valve is on every bag of coffee that you buy. It should have this valve somewhere towards the top, again, just to allow the air to escape from it. So that's definitely something you want to look for when you're buying your coffee.
I think before I go home after the podcast, I'm just going to go to the store to verify this. That's so cool. I love it. How about this question? Back on keeping it fresh, storage tips. How about keeping the coffee in a freezer refrigerator? Is that a good move? Is that a solid, I know what I'm talking about, move right there?
No. So,
No.
another misconception as well. I would never recommend, especially whole bean. Now, I know once coffee's already been ground, you've already sort of taken away a lot of the flavor from the coffee at that point once it's already been pulverized into a ground form. So at that point, if you're putting it in the freezer for storage, it's not the worst thing in the world. The problem with freezing your coffee is that you will reintroduce condensation into the bean, and that moisture will actually also deteriorate and break down the flavor of the coffee as well. If you're planning to put that coffee in any type of grind and brew system, you could also potentially damage your machine because now the bean has more moisture to it, right? So technically, a bird grinder or a coffee grinder or any type of mill doesn't want to break down something that's moist and gummy and whatnot. It'll just kind of mess up the machine and won't give you the flavor that you're looking for. So dry pantry, your cupboard, you can keep it in a dark place, somewhere like that. But I really would stay away from the fridge or the freezer for coffee.
I love that one. Now, what about, you kind of mentioned it, but I want to bring this up as a question itself. So one of my listeners says, is it true, quote, don't buy coffee that has already been grounded because it loses its quality and flavor right away? So should I be buying the bean? Should I be like old schooling, like grounding my beans?
Again, it really is a preference of palate. You can taste the difference between freshly ground coffee versus coffee that's already been pre-ground. Well, then your taste buds have already been heightened to be able to determine the difference. If you don't know, you'll never know, really, at the end of the day. I'm just not a fan of it, and it's just not going to be as fresh. You're just not going to get the same impact that you would on a freshly ground cup of coffee. That's for sure.
All right. So when I was growing up, there was something called, I think it was called the Pepsi Challenge, where there was like a blindfold, you had to pick Pepsi or Coke. So if I gave the Steven Challenge and I put grounded coffee versus non-grounded, do you think you could taste the difference?
I believe I could, yeah.
All right. I like this. So since I know that your family has an awesome business, I wanted to talk about getting a coffee machine. I know it's a very broad statement. There's so many different types of coffee machines out there. I'm going to be me. Hey, Steven, I'm Dr. Raj, and I want to get a coffee machine. It's not like a Keurig. I want to get something that's kind of like a nice entry-level machine to get nice coffee in the morning. What's your sales pitch, and what are the different types of coffee machines for someone like me who just wants to start getting into it a little bit more than just a Keurig?
Yeah, and that's actually a great question. Definitely one of the more common questions I encounter with my customers on a day-to-day. What I find is that the first question you need to be asked or ask yourself is, what kind of coffee do I want? What am I going to use the machine for? Am I a drip coffee type of morning cup of joe person? Am I an espresso connoisseur, or do I like the ability to make espresso? Or do I want milk-based beverages like your lattes and cappuccinos? Once you're able to decide what type of coffee you plan to enjoy the most, that will kind of put you in the direction of the type of machine that you're looking for. Because you're absolutely right. There is a vast selection of machines to choose from, whether it's a drip coffee maker or a one-touch cappuccino machine that has all the features packed into one unit. You could really go in so many different directions. So the first question you're going to ask yourself is, what kind of coffee do I like, and what am I planning to make with it? The second question you're going to ask yourself is, what's my budget? Because really, you can get into a coffee maker that's, say, under the $100 price point, or you can get into a couple of thousand, even several $1,000s for a high-quality espresso. Again, you have to really ask yourself, am I going to utilize this investment? Is this something I'm buying more just for when I'm entertaining guests? Am I a serious coffee drinker that's going to really put my machine to work? And then from there, we'll kind of start to steer into, okay, are you a hands-on person that would like to make something with what we call a semi-automatic espresso machine? Semi-automatic, so now you're grinding the coffee separately, applying it into what's called a portafilter or a handle, and then you're going to manually brew your cup of coffee, froth your milk yourself, and really take the few moments to sort of be the barista at home. Some people want all of that without having to do anything more than just pushing one button. For that, there's definitely a machine for that too. There are automatic grind and brew espresso cappuccino makers that, as long as you've got beans, water, and milk in your carafe, push the cappuccino button and it will do all of that for you from bean to cup. At the end of the day, how much work do you want to put into making your beverage? And what am I going to be drinking?
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Brilliant, just brilliant.
This week, the West Coast action heats up when the Rams meet the Seahawks in a huge divisional showdown. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. And don't miss the Broncos and Chiefs on Christmas night. It's Thursday Night Football, only on Prime Video. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
During the last 2-3 years, I'm going off script because I just love talking to you.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, would you say that, people are investing more and more in coffee because they're at home more during the pandemic? Did sales go up during the pandemic or down? And also, are more people in general, are they more lazy like me when it comes to, they want the best coffee, but press one button? Or do most people like all those different things by hand? What's your experience at your job?
As for the pandemic, we did see a spike in sales. Of course, with the lockdowns and the shutdowns and whatnot, now a lot of people were no longer able to go to their neighborhood coffee shop.
Exactly.
A lot of people weren't driving through their Starbucks drive-through on the way to work and that sort of thing because they weren't leaving the house at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people started to invest in espresso machines for the home. Not all of them went with the high-end, one-touch, fully super automatics, but people were definitely looking for a way to brew coffee in the comfort of their own homes. We found that coffee, as opposed to the machines themselves, in just coffee alone, we had a significant spike. Pretty much for the same reason. People were stocking up on everything and anything that they could. So where you would just walk into our shop and pick up your bag for the week, now you were buying a case of it online because you weren't sure when the next time you were going to be able to actually get out there and get your coffee. That was what we saw with the pandemic. And yes, just as far as getting into the machine itself goes, it wasn't as if everybody decided let's all buy one-touch cappuccino makers and whatnot. What I've kind of found as far as the consumer in choosing the machine goes is that they'll try one type of machine for so many years, and then when it's time to replace that machine with something different, they'll at that point consider going in a different direction.
Oh, I see.
To kind of change it up.
Mix it up a little bit, yeah.
You've driven a red car for 10 years. That car needs to be replaced. Maybe I'll get a black one this time or whatever it is. So that's what we kind of see as far as our clients go. And again, being in the industry for so many years, a lot of our customers are repeat customers that my father sold me to 20, 30 years ago. I find myself selling them their second or third machine so many years later. So we're able to actually see what direction our customers have gone in and what they really prefer. Some people really don't want to use an electric espresso machine at all. You can brew it right on a stovetop with a simple little, what they call a mocha. Probably one of the best espressos you'll ever drink. And really, I mean, you're talking about a $30 to $40 item that all you need is an open flame or a stovetop to make. So, it's really just a matter of preference and taste. And we've kind of seen all ends of the spectrum as far as that goes.
Well, I like that. Well, my next broader topic is going to be the going to Starbucks, because I'm always humbled when people know their coffees, they order their different stuff. I'm like, what did you order? What was that? What did you put in it? Why is it? I need some kind of like terminology list. So this is the what's it called segment. So can you define these for us? Okay. So
I'm going to do my best because I know you like Starbucks. I've experienced that with you before. I'm not to say that I don't like Starbucks, but I guess I've been spoiled with being able to make my own coffee for so many years that I don't find myself getting it from the drive-thrus or from the local cafes in general. So I know Starbucks has their own language. I don't know the whole translation, but I'll do my best to answer whatever you got as far as that goes.
Starbucks should pay me for this, but I'm using it as a broad term, but I think in here in LA, we have coffee bean. There's a couple of other really nice ones here, but here's the terms. Latte. What is a latte?
Basically, a latte, you're taking espresso coffee as your base, and you're introducing steamed milk to it. So a little denser, more of a morning cup. Not as airy as you would get in, say, a cappuccino, but it's majority of it would be steamed milk, whether it's 2% whole milk, almond milk, whatever the preference is, or your dietary restrictions are and whatnot. You can choose any type of milk you want as far as that goes. But at the end of the day, a latte is steamed milk and a shot of espresso.
All right, and then I'm going to go a little off topic here because, one of my other sections was don't cry over spilt milk. So choosing the milk.
That's catchy. I like that.
So beyond just lactose intolerance or something like that, does milk have a big role in the coffees and the cappuccinos and lattes? Is there a big role for choosing the right milk?
100%. Aside from your dietary restrictions or your personal preference, when you're steaming different types of milk, they will produce different textures, even different tastes as well. Frothing something like, say, a 2% milk will bring out some of the sweetness that you'll find in that milk. And almond milk, it's more of a water-based, so you're not going to get the same texture that you would. Whole milk is a lot thicker. If you're using like homo milk, for example, you're going to get a real fattier type of coffee, so to speak. So definitely milk plays a major role in it, and no two milks are the same. So you will definitely see a difference in the way that every coffee is made based on the type of milk you're using with your coffee.
What is the standard? Let's say someone doesn't ask you what milk you want. Is there a standard milk that's made traditionally with most lattes? And I'm going to ask you about cappuccinos in a second. Is it just whole milk, the standard move?
Cafes I see around here in Canada, or at least in the GTA here, I believe everybody typically goes with the 2% unless you've requested otherwise.
Okay.
It's usually your happy medium as far as frothing goes, and just something that appeals to most people in general.
I'm kind of into like the oat milk lately. I got it by accident. Is that popular right now in Toronto? Is that a new move? Have you tried the oat milk?
I was actually drinking it for a while myself. I'm lactose intolerant, so I switched from the 2% to, I was trying soy milk for a while, the almond milk, and then, I started with the oat milk. As far as frothing goes, I haven't really experimented with it as much as I should. So I can't really recall what the outcome was the few times that I have made it, but definitely a good alternative to your average.
Okay.
That's for sure.
So now let's go back. So we got the latte definition. Compare that to the cappuccino. What's the big difference between a cappuccino and a latte?
Really, the difference between the two is just the way the milk is frothed. So,
what do you mean by frothing? Give me the definition of that.
Yeah, sorry. So when you're frothing milk, you're introducing steam via a steam wand, or what's in Italian we call it a pannarello. So basically, the machine will produce coffee, and it will also produce steam, and that steam will allow you to froth your milk. So you're basically infusing the steam into the milk itself, and that will change the texture. It will heat up the milk, so that will increase your milk from obviously room temperature or refrigerated temperature to the hot milk that you're trying to achieve. The more you froth it, or the way you'll apply the steam wand into the milk, will change the texture and the temperature, and that will give you either more air or less air. Air introduced to the milk will give you that lighter, those larger bubbles, and that expansion of foam. And that's what you'll find in a cappuccino. You find that with a cappuccino, you can almost take a spoon and kind of scoop some of that cream right off, almost like a dollop of whipped cream.
Yeah.
There's so much air that's been introduced. That milk has been aerated to give you that very light texture. Cappuccino is great for afternoons and evenings because it's not as dense on the stomach, that sort of thing. That's why I find that people will typically go for a latte in the morning. Cappuccino is a great afternoon alternative. The difference really between cappuccino and latte is just the density of the milk itself. They're both
Interesting.
espresso coffees. So the coffee portion will never really change in that aspect.
So what is an espresso? So both latte and cappuccinos are with espressos. There's just difference in the density of the milk. So what is an espresso by definition?
Espresso, not to be confused with espresso. You know I'm a stickler for that.
You got me. Okay, my bad.
Espresso sounds great because it just sounds like a really fast coffee, right?
It does. It does.
Just give it to me, and I'm out the door. So that's espresso. Espresso is a really concentrated cup of coffee, usually reduced to 1.5 to 2 ounces, and it's by applying pressure and a lesser temperature of water to the bean itself once it's been ground. So drip coffee versus espresso coffee. Drip coffee is brewed at a higher temperature, and it'll be brewed at a longer period. So hot water will kind of drip through your coffee maker in intervals. Takes about a minute to brew your small pot, or a couple of minutes to brew a carafe of coffee. Espresso will infuse hot water instantly just by using pump pressure or manual pressure, hydraulic pressure. And within 10 seconds, it's going to pull as much flavor out of the coffee as possible, but without bringing up too much of the heat in the coffee itself. And that's what the palate of coffee as well, from an espresso to a drip coffee. That's why they taste so completely different.
With that being said, the term Americano, I always feel like when I go to like a foreign country and I see that as part of the options, are they like making fun of me because we don't know our coffee, so you get the Americano coffee, or what does it mean?
Actually, if you were to go to Venice, where like some of the oldest cafes in history are, they'll have Americano on the menu, but then they'll also have, I believe they call it instant coffee. I think that is more of the jab at American culture as far as coffee goes. Americano, basically, it's taking an espresso shot and applying hot water to it as well. So it's just being able to extend your cup from that 2-ounce shot to a 8-ounce, 10-ounce cup of coffee at that point.
Oh, so how does that compare to my last one, a drip coffee? So when I get an Americano, it goes into the category of espresso. So they're giving an espresso, but they just put more hot water in it. Am I saying it correctly?
Hot water, that's correct. Yeah. So they're adding hot water to the espresso shot, and that espresso shot was brewed at espresso pressure and temperature. Drip coffee, you'll still end up with an 8 or 10-ounce cup at the end of your process, but that drip coffee was brewed at a completely different pace and temperature as well. So that's why side by side, they're nothing alike, although the volume of coffee would be the same.
I really want to pound this home. So if I get an espresso, it's more flavorful. Am I saying the right words, Steven?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Part of that infusion process, the way the water is pushed through an espresso coffee, it has just the amount of time to pull the aromas from the coffee bean, but not enough time to pull the acidity, the caffeine. And basically that's what ends up being the difference overall. Espresso, you'll get that shot and it will taste like a lot more intense than if you were to drink, say, a cup of drip coffee. But that's just based on the way the coffee was actually pulled from the bean itself.
But when I go to my cafeteria in the morning and I get my coffee, that's just a drip coffee, nothing fancy schmancy. That's just drip coffee.
How do you take your drip coffee? So what's a typical coffee for you? Do you add milk to it? Are you a black coffee guy?
So, right now I feel like I'm graduating from the morning coffees, which tend to be on the lighter side to me. I want to actually, over years, I've been putting less of a milky creamer because I am lactose intolerant like you. I do get a splash of almond or oat, but I feel like I'm trying to put in a little bit less to taste more of the coffee. I'm trying, because almonds and, oat milk is a little on the sweeter side. I'm trying to put less of a sweetener in there to try to be more, hey, it's coffee, I'm tasting it. But I feel like what I really need to graduate to is like espresso coffee, because I'm still really in the drip world. And I guess everything in the Raj is Starbucks. So I guess I have a veranda blend, and now I'm trying to get into a Pike's Place. You know what I mean?
Espresso is definitely an acquired taste. I can tell you, I was making large cups of doubles or just a lot of coffee mixed with sugar and cream and milk for years before I could really acquire a palate to drink espresso. I didn't really start drinking espresso until I'm going to say my mid-20s. I had already started drinking coffee in my late teens, studying late for exams or working early in the mornings and that sort of thing. But I really didn't have a palate for espresso. I used to think it was horrible. I was like, oh my God, this is so bitter. How do you drink this? I couldn't understand it. And slowly, after trying the right espresso, I found one or two that I started to prefer. And that kind of broadened my senses and my palate into, experimenting a little more with it. And now it's all I drink, really. 2 espressos a day, every day, and that's all I'll have.
Do you put a little flavor in it? Do some of the coffee connoisseurs look down upon adding flavor to coffee,
So being from Italy, it's almost a sin.
Oh,
if you were in Italy and you asked the barista to add cinnamon to your coffee, he'd ask you if you were baking a pie with it. It's really not part of European culture.
Okay.
But I respect it. I have experimented with a lot of caramels, cinnamons, vanilla shots, and that sort of thing. So it really takes a cup of coffee and expands it into so many different ways that it just makes it that much more enjoyable for so many more people. I'm not against it at all. I think if there's something that you want to add to your coffee that will help you enjoy it that much more, by all means, enjoy it.
The last couple, I promised my listeners I'll ask, and there's some personal questions to you. They didn't meet you yet, but they were so excited that we're having, I'm switching the podcast to some really just fun stuff right now. You know what I mean? So they want to know, in your opinion, in your words, what makes a good coffee?
I always just think it goes back to preference. You'll try more bad coffees in your life than good coffees.
Okay.
That's what's going to help you decide what a good coffee is. What a good coffee is for me, the perfect balance of temperature. Coffee has to be ground a certain way. If you grind it too coarse, you're going to get a weaker cup of coffee. If you grind it too fine, you're going to get too concentrated an extraction. So everything's a matter of balance. And of course, trying not to overindulge. I drink 1 or 2 espressos a day, and I think that's more than adequate. I know some people that can drink up to 10 a day.
Oh, man.
It's a little excessive.
Yes.
Right? As far as what makes a good cup of coffee, I think it just boils down to what you like. You have to enjoy it. You're the only one who's going to appreciate it. And it's just such a personal thing. I mean, what my palate experiences and what yours would experience, even trying the exact same cup of coffee, could be completely different. So it's really, when they say it's a matter of taste, it's literally a matter of taste.
So I'm going to make up this question right here. So if I were to just go into your fridge right now, not fridge, or your cabinets, would I see?
It won't be in the fridge.
It wouldn't be in the fridge. I'm listening. Would I see some beans that are there that are going to be eventually grounded into coffee, ready to go in a one-way valve pack?
I keep a bag of my family's recipe on hand at all times. For that, I am biased. It's the only coffee you'll find in my house. If we run out, we don't drink anything. I'll have to get in the car in the middle of the night, go to the shop, grab a few bags. That way I know that when we wake up in the morning, it's there. So for that, I'm a little biased. The only espresso that I'll drink is our own family recipe.
Would it be a nightmare? Let's say you're low on coffee, and I heard you have a very beautiful wife named Karen, and she just tried to, just be a team player and grab some Dunkin' Donuts instant coffee and put it in the fridge or the closet. Would she get in trouble for doing that?
She won't, only because she'll be the only one to be drinking it. It's all hers. I'll have no part in it. She'll get to enjoy every last drop all to herself. And you know what? If that's what my wife likes, then she'll just end up off my parents' Christmas list.
So I know you mentioned already, we're just using the broad term espresso, and maybe that is the right answer. Is that your favorite coffee, or is there more to the ordering? Is it like a double espresso with this, extra hot? And what is your drink? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my favorite espresso beverage is what's called an affogato. And
did you make that up? Is that a standard?
No. You can. It's Googleable. I guess that's
I'll look that word up too.
So yeah, what an affogato is? It's an espresso shot served over a scoop of ice cream.
Shut up! What ice cream? What ice cream? I mean, keep on going.
In Italy, traditionally, we'll use a lemon sorbet with a shot of espresso over that.
Oh,
Although I find that a scoop of vanilla ice cream is fantastic with it.
okay.
Perfect combination. So that for me is like, if I had to take my coffee drinking up a couple of notches,
Yeah.
especially on a hot summer day, an affogato for me is the way to go.
Now, if I go to a fancy schmancy restaurant, I don't have any time to do that or the money, but if I do, is that on the menu for a fancy restaurant if I ask for that?
It should be. And if it
Okay.
isn't, it should be added to it. I could see a lot of specialty coffee shops offering that. I mean,
Okay.
of course, if they have ice cream as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen it in a few places, so I don't see why not.
Because it sounds pretty damn good, Steven. I gotta tell you.
Next time we see each other, I'll be happy to make one for you. That's for sure.
Deal. Okay, the last two questions. One is, you also have a very beautiful daughter. And for those who don't know, Steven his beautiful wife is my cousin. So that's why I think Steven and his family are so special to me and my family. And you have a beautiful daughter named Victoria. When are you going to let her drink coffee? And you better watch yourself, because if my daughter listens to this, I'm going to come get you.
It's funny with my daughter growing up around it so much. She really doesn't like the smell of it altogether. It's not something that she's interested in by any means. I'll jokingly offer her, hey, you want a coffee? You look a little sleepy-eyed before school. Can I make you a double espresso? And of course, I'll get those looks from her like, Dad, are you crazy? I won't drink that. Oh, that smells gross. Oh, that's nasty. So right now, I don't have that issue. I don't see myself letting her. I mean, I should watch how I say that, because I wouldn't necessarily stop her from it, but I would highly recommend that she at least waits until she's, 18, 19, 20 years old to start, drinking something that's got caffeine in it.
Yeah. Yep.
As a teenager or as a young child, it's definitely not something that I would recommend. So as far as my own daughter goes, I'm not concerned as of yet. But I think when we have to cross that bridge, she'll at least be informed about it, and she'll know where to get a good cup. So for that, we'll look after her.
And she'll know that the beans aren't in the freezer or the fridge.
That for sure. She can get it fresh. Always fresh on hand.
And last question, I'll let you go. This is from one of my listeners, and I can relate to it. I'm always drinking my coffee in the car because I'm always running somewhere and I'm in a hurry. And I gotta tell you, I tend to spill coffee on my clothes quite a bit. You're a coffee dude. Has anyone ever asked you how you get rid of coffee stains by any chance? Do you have any secret tips so I could not ruin every shirt and pant?
We're black. If you see a barista with a white t-shirt on, chances are he's either really good at his job or he'll learn very quickly to wear a black shirt the next day. Very hard to get coffee stains out of anything. I can tell you from experience, I've got a lot of shirts and pants that are just riddled with coffee everywhere, and it just does not come out. I wear an apron to work now because of that. But yeah, just wear black.
I love it. Well, I knew I was going to love chatting with you because you're just an awesome dude. So can you say something about if they want to download your podcast, they want to find you, they want to find up your parents' store, how will they get that information? Can you just tell about yourself?
Absolutely. So the podcast is called the Been There, Done That Show. We've done 2 seasons so far. And basically, my co-host, Mike, and I, we just kind of banter back and forth about different coffee facts, coffee fiction, coffee stories in general, really. So we kind of riff about that. We'll put a little educational part in there here and there, but it's usually just coffee talk in general. So that you can hear on all formats, anywhere where you can get the Dr. Raj podcast. You'll find us there too. And as far as the machines go, or the family business, you can find everything on northwestkitchenware.com. Full selection of espresso machines, accessories, coffee beans. We also have cleaning products for your machines. We offer tips and education on your product as well. So a lot of information that you can kind of peruse through when you're on the website. Or, of course, if you're in the GTA and you're in the Toronto area, come by our showroom and visit us anytime.
Well, hey, Steven, you're awesome, and thank you for being with us today. And that was the Dr. Raj podcast. And I hope we all learned a little something. I know I did. And I can't wait to use my new skills and knowledge. And stay tuned for another episode. And take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Ars Longa Media. Our producers are Madison Linden and Chris Brightigan. Our executive producer is Dr. Patrick Beeman. This podcast is for educational purposes only and not intended for medical advice. Ars Longa, Vita Brevis.